What is human anatomy and physiology subject related, ma'am? Hope you know it, but just I'm saying how many of you know that. Okay. So in this subject, you are going to study two main things of every system. One is anatomy and the other one is physiology. Okay. Anatomy and physiology. Anatomy, you are studying about the structure, internal structure of an organ, which make a system. Okay. And physiology means now you know the structure, then you are studying about the function of that particular organ. Okay. So that is the main thing which we are going to see in human anatomy and physiology subject. Why this subject is so important? Why? Because you are pharmacy students. Pharmacy students, pharmacy subject belongs to medical field, right? So what you are doing as a pharmacist, you are preparing drugs, right? So why you are preparing drug? So when in case there is any disorder or any disease, to treat that particular disorder or disease, you have to give some treatment, right? So for that treatment, you are preparing the drug, right? So now, what is the importance of HAP in that? See, if you want to repair anything, okay? If, for example, you know you are having a mobile phone, because everyone has a mobile phone, we will understand this example very easily. Everyone owns a mobile phone, right? So you know which Android it is, okay, and you know what features are there in your mobile, okay, and you know how many pixels of camera it is, you know how many apps you are holding, your mobile is holding, you know which apps are downloadable in your mobile, you know which apps are not supported by your mobile, everything you know about it, right? And when you are going to when you face any problem in the mobile, then to treat it, to repair it, you should know its structure and its function. In the same way, when you are going to prepare any drug, that drug should act on particular organ, and when it is acting on particular organ, you should know what is the structure of the organ and what are the functions of the organ. Okay, so ये तो हो गया general वाली बात. Okay, but still, even if you see uh, different examinations, if you think that oh, okay madam light hai, hum exams mein pass ho gaye to bas hai, if you're thinking that like okay madam leave it, if I pass in the exam that is more than enough, if you feel in that way also, once you are out of your B Farm, first the core subject of pharmacy is pharmacology, and the basic for the pharmacology is your HAP. So once you are out of B Farm, when you attend different interviews, when you attend different government exams, most of the questions will be asked from pharmacology and HAP. Okay, so by both the ways, HAP is very important, and therefore you should never neglect this subject. Okay, just marks के लिए मत पढ़िए, knowledge के लिए पढ़िए. Marks खुद ब खुद आ जाएंगे. Okay, don't don't prepare only for exams, only for marks, but prepare to gain knowledge. Marks will follow the knowledge. Okay, my dear students. Okay, shall we start our session today then? Okay. Chalo. So, today, what we are going to discuss is, according to your examinations, you are having three types of questions, right? One is 2 marks, 5 marks, and 14 marks, right? So, most of the marks you lose is in 2 marks, because you might skip some topics. In 14, what I suggest you is, once you read the topic, wherever you come across any kind of definition and any kind of disorder, you predict that it is for 2 marks. Wherever there is a definition, a disorder, and functions. Sometimes only functions you will ask. Okay. So these three things are the major area where he will focus for 2 marks. And most of the students also lose marks in 2 marks. Okay. So what happened? Also, what I have done is I have selected the important questions in 5 units, and we are going to discuss about those important questions. So before going to the important questions, what we have here is, this is the syllabus of your first unit. Okay, this is your first syllabus, first unit syllabus. So you know this, just for your gross idea, I have written this. So in the unit 1, it is completely about nervous system, right? So it is having organization of nervous system, neurons, neuroglia, classification and properties of nerve fiber, electrophysiology, action potential, nerve impulse, receptors, synapse, neurotransmitters. Then this is the overview of nervous system. Then in that you are having central nervous system, where you are discussing about the meninges, brain, and your spinal cord. Brain and spinal cord. In brain you will be having cerebrum, brain stem, cerebellum, and all those things. Okay. So this is the overview of your unit 1. So in this important thing, what important things you have to note down here is, you should know what are the different types of neuroglia present. This neuroglia is of 2 types. In CNS it is different. In PNS it is different. Only the names will be different, but the functions will be almost the same. Okay. In CNS, neuroglia will be of 4 types: oligodendroid cells, astrocytes, microglial cells. Okay. And in peripheral nervous system, you will be having satellite cells and Schwann cells. So these things you should know. Okay. Next, you are having different nerve fibers, then the electrophysiology and action potential of the nerve impulse. Means how an action potential takes place. You know this because many times you have studied. In HAP 1 also you have studied, I feel, where you are discussing about depolarization, repolarization, hyperpolarization, and then basal membrane. So these are the things. Next, you are having different types of receptors. Then what do you mean by a synapse? And what are neurotransmitters? Okay. What is a receptor? Can anyone say what is a receptor? Is anyone answering? What is the receptor? A receptor is nothing but it is a protein. What it will do? It is going to provide a substrate for a ligand. Ligand means any molecule that is going to attach to the receptor, so to show a particular action. Okay, it may be a hormone, it may be a mediator, chemical mediator, or it may be a drug. Ligand may be a hormone or a chemical mediator, or it can be a drug. Okay. Now neurotransmitters we will discuss. Then in the central nervous system, you have to study about the brain and the spinal cord. Now let's discuss the topic. So the most frequently asked question is, what are the functions of nervous system? Okay, and spinal cord. Both are asked separately, but I have included them in one slide. Okay, so what is the function of the nervous system? Nervous system actually deals with central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. Okay, so in this, whatever might be the type of nervous system, the functions will be 3 important functions. Okay, sensation, interpretation and response. Okay, sensation means it is getting some information, it is gathering some information, which is called as stimulus. Okay, now after receiving some information, it will interpret, means what kind of response should be given, that will be interpreted in the brain. Then response. Now after interpretation, it is going to give some action, that is response. So these are the three main functions of your nervous system. Now what about spinal cord? So spinal cord also comes under nervous system. The same thing will be here. So now you are seeing the brain here, right? And the rest of the body is below. So someone should be there to carry the information from your hand, for example, from your hand to the brain. Okay. So that work will be done by your spinal cord. So it is responsible for transmitting messages between the brain and rest of the body. Okay. So it is going to conduct for sensory information, which is going to carry towards the brain, and then it gives some command to show the action. Okay, and important thing is, it is going to show, it is going to involve in reflex action. Reflex action is a sudden involuntary action. Okay, so coming to the functions of your spinal cord, here you can see nerve impulse propagation. Okay, nerve impulse propagation means it is going to propagate the nerve impulse from your different organs to the brain, from brain to different organs. Okay, nerve impulse propagation. So which area is responsible for nerve impulse propagation? White matter tract. Okay, white matter means these are the axons. Okay, these are the axons. The function of your axon is to carry the information. Okay, next, integration of information. Integration of information here, it is going to receive the information and do some processing. That is your gray matter. Gray matter means it is made up of cell bodies. Cell bodies is responsible for the interpretation of the response. Okay. Now, so what are the two main functions of spinal cord? Nerve impulse propagation and integration of information. Okay, got it? Now, what is a neurotransmitter? This is the next question. Neurotransmitter, it is just, don't mug up any definition. Try to understand and then you try to write in the same manner. Okay. Now, first you see here a chemical substance which is released at the end of a nerve fiber by the arrival of a nerve impulse. Means one, there is a neuron here. Okay. So one impulse has arrived, and so this, okay, we'll see from here. Impulse has arrived. This is a synapse. Okay, it is a gap between two neurons. Impulse has arrived. This neuron will release a neurotransmitter in the synapse. Okay, by the arrival of a nerve impulse and by diffusing across the synapse or junction. Means it is released in the synapse. Now from this open space, from this synapse, it is going to travel towards the other neuron. Okay, so it is diffusing across the synapse or junction, affects the transfer of impulse to another nerve fiber. Now it will transfer the information to the nerve fiber. It can be a nerve fiber, it can be an effector organ, which is a muscle or any other structure. Okay, so if you understand like this, it will be easy for you. Now there are usually two different kinds of neurotransmitters: excitatory, inhibitory. Okay, Excitatory means what? Excitatory, which are going to stimulate your brain. Okay. Now give me a pause. All of you smile once. Even though it is artificial, please smile. Smile, smile. Is everyone smiling? Now, uh, do you know that when you smile, there will be release of certain neurotransmitters which will excite, which will stimulate your brain. Okay. So those kind of neurotransmitters will be excitatory. Okay. Now, what do you mean by inhibitory? Now, if I go on continuously without smiling, if you go on continuously watch me like this, without involving your brain, then you will get sleep, right? Yes. That is why it should be interactive session. Okay. So why you are getting sleep? Because your brain will start releasing inhibitory neurotransmitter. Okay. So these are the two main types of neurotransmitters. Now coming to different types of neurotransmitters. Now one time the question is asked, mention different types of neurotransmitters. Only names we have to mention. Okay. So what are they here? See, these are the different neurotransmitters we have. You have adrenaline, GABA, noradrenaline, acetylcholine, dopamine, glutamate, serotonin, endorphins. Okay, adrenaline, GABA, noradrenaline, acetylcholine, dopamine, glutamate, serotonin, endorphins. Okay, now when the question is asked as mention few neurotransmitters, don't just mention the neurotransmitters. Okay, what you do is you write the definition of the neurotransmitter. Then you write it as you'll have two types of neurotransmitters, excitatory and inhibitory, and then you name the neurotransmitters. With this you will be getting 2 out of 2. The examiner will not feel to cut the marks because you have given some valuable information related to the question. Okay. So now adrenaline, as you know, if you remember, then write this one also. Adrenaline is a fight or flight hormone where it is released in stressful conditions. It is going to increase your heart rate. Just remember when you are running, when a dog is behind you, how you will feel? Yes, how you will feel? You will feel relaxed. You will close your eyes. You will smile. No, right? So how you will feel? How your heartbeat will be increased heartbeat. So there will be sweating, increased heartbeat. Will you feel like eating when you are running? अरे रोको रोको रोको, यहाँ पे तो बिरयानी है, बिरयानी खा के जाएंगे. No, na. You won't think all this. Okay. And how your pupil will be when you are running like this? You'll run like this. No, right? How you will run? Like. So what is happening to your pupil? They are getting dilated. Okay. Just apply this thing and write it. Okay. Even if you write adrenaline is a flight and flight hormone, it is enough. Okay. For 2 marks. Next you have noradrenaline. So noradrenaline, adrenaline, both are similar in function. Most of the things are same. Okay. Next, dopamine. Now dopamine is a pleasure hormone. It is involved in addiction. Okay. Now shall I say a best example of dopamine related thing which you are daily addicted to? Open your Instagram, open your reels, one after other. Just you are going to scroll, right? You will think that only I will spend only 5 minutes. But when 1 hour will pass, we don't know the time, right? So why it is so? This is the modern addiction where the adults and even children are facing this problem or modern addiction. Before we used to call for smoking and for alcohol, the people are addicted. But now the modern addiction is addicted to mobiles. Okay, in YouTube again, when we are even trying to study in YouTube, down we will be see the scrolling. अरे ये एक वीडियो देखेंगे, ये एक वीडियो देखेंगे, चलो start. Now you will pass the time 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So when you scroll it, for every reel, there will be a release of dopamine in your brain, which is giving you pleasure. You're feeling so happy. You're feeling, अरे ये वाला तो बहुत अच्छा है. You're thinking that, अरे this one is very nice. We will see next video also. Next one, next one. Okay. You can see here, it is going to cause feeling of pleasure, addiction, movement, and motivation. Means every time you will motivated to do that activity again and again. You will feel like to do it. Okay. For example, one more example is when you are rewarded for something. Okay. Then you feel it motivated, right? Okay. Because I have done this, my mother has given me appreciation. So I will do it again. That is motivation. Okay. So that is because of your dopamine. Okay. And people repeat behaviors that lead to dopamine release. Okay. Next, serotonin. Serotonin is basically a mood hormone. Okay, which is going to uh, maintain your mood, your happiness, your well-being. Okay. Excess of serotonin will lead to depression. Okay. So it is going to help to maintain your sleep cycle. It is going to maintain the regulation of your digestive system, and this serotonin will be affected by the exercise and light exposure. You know that when you are continuously exposed to light, your sleep cycle will be disturbed. Okay. So like next is your GABA. Now GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter where it is going to produce a calming effect on your brain. Okay. So whenever anyone is anxious, okay, hyper, at that time, then this GABA is going to help you in calming down. Okay, that you will be studying in pharmacology anyways. Acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is important in learning. Okay, it is involved in thought, learning, and memory process. Okay, and it is also going to activate the muscle action in the body. Okay, because the skeletal muscles are innervated by the acetylcholine cholinergic neurons, right? Then they are also associated with the attention and awakening. Okay. Next is glutamate. Glutamate is also an excitatory neurotransmitter and it is involved in the memory. Okay. Next is endorphins. Endorphins are, they are going to give you euphoria. What do you mean by euphoria? Euphoria means a feel of well-being. Okay. You feel very happy. You feel like uh, you feel motivated. Okay. These endorphins are usually released when you exercise, when you do something which is excited. Okay. And these endorphins, they are also called as natural painkillers. Okay. They are going to reduce the pain. So this endorphins you will again study in pharmacology when you are studying the opioid drugs. Okay. So these are the different neurotransmitters you have. Next. Now, in sometimes he has asked about the structure of the spinal cord. Okay. Now, when he is asking about the structure of the spinal cord, uh, you just see for how many marks he is asking. Okay. If it is for 2 marks, then you just mention this left side diagram. Okay. Sectional organization of the spinal cord. Okay. Now, if he is asking for 5 marks, then you mention the meninges also. Okay. But if it is asked for 14 marks, then you mention this external structure also. Okay. External structure is simple, but if you have time, then you carry on with this external structure. Okay. So, you know the internal structure of spinal cord because from 10th standard you are studying about the structure of the spinal cord, right? Now I will focus on the external structure and the meninges of the spinal cord. So spinal cord is a long thin tubular bundle of nervous tissue and supporting cells. What are the supporting cells here? Supporting cells are nothing but your neuroglial cells. Don't get confused. Okay. Supporting cells that extends from the brain. Okay. It extends from the foramen magnum. So in HAP1 you have done your HAP practicals. There you might have seen the skull and you have seen one hole near the throat, right? Back side. Okay. That is the foramen magnum, which is the largest foramen in your body. Foramen means hole. Okay. And so the spinal cord will start from foramen magnum and it will continue till L2 vertebrae. Okay, L2 lumbar vertebrae 2. Okay, and then it terminates in phylum terminale. Okay, it terminates in phylum terminale, which are nothing but a fibrous extension, non-functional fibrous extension of the spinal cord. Okay. Now this spinal cord is going to have two things, two protective structures. Okay. One thing is your vertebral column and the other one is your meninges. These two things, they are going to be, their main function is to protect the spinal cord. Okay. So you can see here, this is the internal organization of the spinal cord where the spinal cord body, the TS of the spinal cord, where it is divided into white and gray matter. Okay, white and gray matter. So now the one which is going to join this one, okay, that is called as commissure. Okay, commissure, anterior commissure, anterior gray commissure, and anterior white commissure means the one which is joining this. Okay, this is commissure. Now you are having different horns here. Okay, posterior gray horn. So whenever you are studying about the posterior, you immediately see about the anterior things. Okay, so posterior gray horn and see, posterior means this one, okay, above one. These two are posterior and these two are anterior, okay. So posterior gray horn, this one, and anterior gray horn, this one, okay. Here also posterior gray horn and anterior gray horn. Whereas the white one, we are calling it as horn, commissure, sorry, column, okay. So posterior white column, where it is. This is the posterior white column and this is the anterior white column. So four parts you are known. The one which is present on the sides, it will be called as lateral white column. Okay. Okay. So 4 plus 1, 5, and these two commissures 6, 7. Okay. Now wherever there is a breakage, or I can say folding of white column, it is called as sulcus. Okay. Folding of white column. So you are having it as posterior median sulcus. Okay. Posterior median sulcus, and here you call it as anterior median fissure. Okay. Sulcus means hollow one. Fissure means deep invagination. That is the only difference. The name is different, that's it. Okay. Because it is somewhat a narrow hollow, it is called as sulcus, and because it is deep, anterior one is deep, so we are calling it as anterior median fissure. Okay. Now you are having it as no, you need not remember about this nuclei. Okay, that is not required for you people. Dorsal root ganglion. This is important. Dorsal root ganglion. The neurons will be starting from here. Okay. Ganglion means what? What do you mean by ganglion? Ganglion is nothing but a group of cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system. Okay. Group of cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system. What do you mean by nuclei? A group of cell bodies in the central nervous system. So here you can see sensory nuclei, motor nuclei. Okay, it means that there are group of cell bodies. Now from these cell bodies, the axons will be extending out, right? So those axons will be coming out of the spinal cord. Once they come out of the field, if they are in the field, they are players. Okay. Now here, if they are in the field, it means that they are in the CNS. CNS means only brain and spinal cord. Okay. Once they move out of the room, once they move out of the brain, once they move out of the spinal cord, they don't come under CNS. They come under peripheral nervous system. That is why immediately the name gets changed. That's it. Okay. See here. This is ganglion, and here you are having nuclei. Understood? Now, coming to the meninges. So, now if you see the TS of this spinal cord, you can see here how it is protected by different layers. Okay. And the white one, which is very thin and not visible, that is your vertebrae. Okay. So vertebrae separately in the human skeleton system, you might have studied. So that is why we are not discussing in this spinal cord structure. Okay. So coming to the meninges and spinal cord, they are covered by three kinds of layers. Okay, three layers which are protective in nature. They are going to protect your brain as well as your spinal cord. Okay, so what are those three layers? So this is the innermost layer. This pink one is the innermost layer, which is called as pia mater. Okay, pia mater. Then the next, this white one you are seeing is, one second. The white line which you are seeing is arachnoid matter. Okay, and the last one, gray colored one which you are seeing is your dura matter. Okay. So you are having matter, arachnoid matter, dura matter. Now you should remember what are the spaces in between them called as. The space the space between the pia matter and the arachnoid matter, okay, means your space between inner pink line and white line, it is called as subarachnoid space. Why? Because it is present below the arachnoid matter. That is why it is called as subarachnoid space. Okay. Then the space between your here you can see gray one and white line, gray line and white line. That space is called as subdural space. Why? Because it is present below the dura mater. Okay, and the space which is present above your dura mater is called as epidural phase, because it is present above, so epi, below sub. Okay, subarachnoid space, subdural space, and epidural space. Okay, now coming to the internal external structure of your spinal cord. Now once you see the spinal cord externally, you will be seeing from here. Okay, so when you are seeing externally, this spinal cord will be having two enlargements. Just it will be bulged like this. Okay, so those kind of enlargements are called as, the upper one is called as cervical enlargement, and the lower one will be called as lumbar enlargement. Okay, cervical enlargement and lumbar enlargement. Cervical enlargement will be coming from, it will start from C4, that is your cervical vertebrae. Okay, C4 to T1. Okay, and lumbar enlargement will be from T9 to T12. And finally, this uh, enlargement will end in conus medullaris. Okay, conus medullaris means the spinal cord will end in the conus medullaris near your tailbone. Okay, now from there, some structures, some non-functional fibrous tissue will be hanging. Okay, that is called as phylum terminale. Okay, phylum terminale. And from this conus medullaris, few nerve fibers will be emerging, and they go to the pelvic area, your legs, and all. So that that nerves fibers will together be called as cauda equina. Okay, cauda equina. So this is about the external structure. Now coming to the next important thing of your spinal cord, that is reflex arc. Many times this question is asked. Okay, what do you mean by reflex? What do you mean by reflex arc? Mention the components of the reflex arc. So if you have an idea, brief idea on about reflex arc, definitely you can answer this question. Okay, just give me 1 second. Huh? Yes. So coming to reflex arc. So what do you mean by a reflex? Reflex means what? Sudden, automatic, involuntary, inborn response to a stimulus. Okay, automatic, involuntary, and inborn response. So from the beginning, even if a small child is there, if a small child touches any hot object, definitely even the child will remove the hand from it. So it is an inborn response. Okay. Now, what is the reflex arc? Reflex arc means this reflex, how it is going to the spinal cord, how it is getting information to show the response, what path it is following. That pathway is called as a reflex arc. Okay, reflex is nothing but response. So how that response is coming, what pathway it is following, That comes under reflex arc. Okay. Coming to the components of reflex arc. So majorly if you see this reflex arc which will be having, there will be one sensory neuron. Okay. Then then it will be your receptor. Okay. Then there will be spinal cord or brain. Mostly it will be spinal cord. And then there will be effector. Okay. And finally there will be response. Okay. So what will happen once there is stimulus? I'll show you with an example. Yes. So when you are touching any hot object, this is the one which is going to give you the information. See, this is the sensory neuron. Now, do you know the difference between sensory neuron and the motor neuron? Yes, everyone. Are you people there? So, what is the difference between sensory neuron and the motor neuron? Sensory is the one which is going to carry the information from from the organ towards the CNS, maybe brain or the spinal cord. Okay. Whereas effector, motor means it is a neuron which is going to give information, which is going to carry the information from the brain to the effector organ. Okay. So towards the brain sensory, away from the brain is the motor. If you can't remember, you can remember SAME, same. Okay. S sensory, it is also called as afferent, SA. Okay. M motor, motor is also called as efferent. Okay. SAME, same. Now, see here. So this sensory neuron is going to carry the information towards here. It is going to your gray matter of your spinal cord, because gray matter is involved in interpretation. Okay. So whenever you are studying like this, you have to analyze that. Okay, because gray matter is involved in interpretation, the neuron is carrying the information to the gray matter. Okay, so here there will be interpretation, and then it is going to give you the signal. Okay, if it is touching any hot object, then remove your hand. It will give that information. It will give you that response. So that response is carried towards the muscle, and the muscle will immediately remove the hand from the object. Okay, so this is the simple version of your reflex arc. Now this is very simple. Okay, but this reflexes are also different types. Okay, you have monosynaptic reflexes and polysynaptic reflexes. In some papers we have asked this also: monosynaptic reflex arc and polysynaptic reflex arc. So you need not worry and you need not remember everything. The thing is, when there is one synapse, you can see here. How many synapses were there? How many interneurons are there? Only one, right? So there is only one connection. So it is called as monosynaptic reflex. Okay. Polysynaptic reflex means there will be more than one synapse. Okay, more than one synapse will be included. See, this is monosynaptic. From the receptor, sensory neuron will go to the gray horn, and from here directly to the skeletal nerve. Okay, whereas in the polysynaptic, you see what it is. From the receptor, it is going to the gray horn. There is certain interpretation there. Okay, and there is involving 2 or 3 neurons, and then it is giving the information. Okay, so when there is more than one synapse, it is called as polysynaptic reflex. So these are about the things which are related to your unit 1. Now coming to the unit 2. Unit 2 deals with your digestive system, anatomy of the GI tract, and then you are having so GI tract completely till large intestine. Then what about pancreas, liver, which are called as accessory gland of your GIT. Okay. Then you have movements of GIT, where you call it as peristaltic movements. Different movements will be seen in the GIT, which come under mechanical digestion. Okay. Then how the digestion occurs, how the absorption of nutrients occurs, and what are the different disorders of GIT. Okay. So in short, what you do is from starting from the mouth. Okay. Starting from the mouth, anatomy, physiology. Physiology means mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. Okay. Mechanical digestion means what type of movement is present. For example, in the mouth, what movement will be present? Chewing and then swallowing. Okay. Chewing and swallowing. Okay. Then in the stomach, there will be peristaltic movements. Okay. In pharynx, there will be no mechanical digestion. Only the food will pass from your oral cavity to the esophagus. Okay. So like that, you study first for every organ. You have to study. First thing is its anatomy. Second thing is its physiology. Physiology means chemical digestion and mechanical digestion. Okay. Now you'll say, Madam, you told the whole unit in one thing, right? Yes. Because it says HAP, you need to study everything. But still, if you insist to say important, then the digestion which is in small intestine and the digestion which is in the stomach, these two things are very, very important. Okay. So you need to study the structure of a stomach, mechanical digestion in the stomach, and chemical digestion in the stomach. Chemical digestion means what enzymes are acting, what enzymes are present. Okay. Next is you study about the small intestine. If you study these 6 things, most of the questions will be covered. Okay. Because the main important hormones and enzymes will be present in these 2 areas only. Okay. Next is just to give a glance on functions of pancreas, functions of liver and salivary glands. Okay. Next is disorders of GIT. Wherever, not only in unit 2, unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wherever there are disorders, read the definition of the disorders and try to remember at least 5 disorders of a system. Okay, 4 or 5 disorders with definitions. Okay, so like this you have to study your unit 2. Okay, then you have energetics, that is bioenergetics, where you are going to study about the formation and role of ATP, creatinine, phosphate and BMR. Most of the cases ATP has asked. Okay, that only we are going to discuss here. Now the different questions which are asked for this unit 2 is role of pepsin. So whenever, if any question is asking like explain the role of pepsin, explain the role of trypsin, explain the role of lipase, first you write what is this pepsin. Okay, what is this pepsin? Pepsin is a protease. Protease means the enzyme which is going to act on the proteins. Okay, it is a protease that is going to catalyze the hydrolysis of proteins into short polypeptides. So it is actually breaking down the proteins into short polypeptides. How? By hydrolysis. Catalysis means it is going to hasten the reaction. You can see here, pepsin will be like this. So it is a protein. Protein means what? long chain of amino acids that will be broken down into short chains, short polypeptides. Okay, here. Okay, now from here, so usually it is released in the stomach. Okay, in the stomach, that also you have to mention here. Okay, and from here the short polypeptides are going towards or moving towards the small intestine. So what is pepsin and role of pepsin is asking, right? So the main important function is that, but still you have to write something, right? So what it is? So it is secreted from where it is you are getting this pepsin from the glands of stomach. Okay, and it is actually an inactive form of sorry, it is the inactive form of pepsin is pepsinogen. So when there is absence of food, there will be pepsinogen. Once uh, food is there in your stomach, HCl will be released. HCl will be converting this pepsinogen to pepsin. Okay, so the inactive form of pepsin is pepsinogen, and it is going to work in the acidic environment. It acts on proteins and converts them into peptones. That's it. That is the role of your pepsin. Now, in addition, we will see trypsin also. So, trypsin is released from the pancreas. The inactive form of uh, trypsin is trypsinogen. It acts in basic medium, and this trypsin is actually acting in the small intestine. Okay, and it acts on peptones and converts them into polypeptides. Now coming to different gastrointestinal disorders. Okay, in once he has asked about the GI disorders. Just to write the names of GI disorders. He said. Okay, so if you remember the definition, then well and good you can attempt. But if you don't remember definition, just at least write the names of the disorders. Okay, anorexia. It is a very common term which you listen, which you usually get in pharmacology. Okay, anorexia means lack of appetite. We don't feel hungry. Okay, भूख नहीं लगना. Okay, why? कब भूख नहीं लगेंगे आपको? If you are having result. Okay, if you are having exam. Okay, or if you are sad, right? So it could be because of some emotional things or because of some physical factors. Okay, might be you have had a you're not feeling like eating because of some inflammation in your stomach, some physical factor, like if you have any mouth ulcers also you don't feel like eating. Okay, if you have fever also you won't feel like eating. So anorexia. Next, stomatitis. Now I'll give you a simple tip. Itis. Itis means what? Inflammation. So wherever there is itis, it means inflammation. Okay? It means inflammation. Itis, inflammation. Stomatitis. Stomatitis means you will be having inflammation of oral mucosa, usually in the corners of your lips and in the mouth. Okay, that is mainly because of the nutritional deficiencies. Okay, next is gingivitis. Gingivitis means there will be swollen gums. Okay, that is called as gingivitis. Esophagitis, inflammation of esophagus. Esophagitis. Nausea and vomiting, usually when you take some drug, some painkiller also, when you take, you feel like vomiting. That is um, because of its adverse effect. Okay, any unpleasant sensation, usually preceding vomiting, before vomiting, whatever the feeling we get, that is called as nausea. Vomiting means forceful expulsion of the contents of the stomach through the mouth. They are called, that is called as vomiting. Gastritis, inflammation of the lining of the stomach. Okay, gastric gastric means stomach. Okay, so inflammation of the lining of the stomach. Peptic ulcer, it is a very common disease which is seen in the gastrointestinal tract. Okay, it is loss of tissue from the lining of the digestive tract. Okay, then you have inflammatory bowel disease. Inflammatory bowel disease, it can be due to any reason. Okay, it can be due to your eating habits, diet, and due to some infections, you can get this kind of inflammatory bowel diseases. And it includes two disorders. One is chronic inflammatory gastrointestinal disorder, and sorry, it involves two gastrointestinal disorders like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Okay, Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Here, the reason will be different, but the symptoms will be same. The reason for getting that inflammation is different here, but the symptoms of these two diseases will be same. Next, the other common things: diarrhea, constipation. Diarrhea means passage of liquid stools, okay, with increased frequency, and it is also associated with the cramping and abdominal pain. Next, you have constipation. Constipation means hard, dry, infrequent stools passed with difficulty. Next, you are having gastroesophageal reflux disease. It is occurring because the acid in the stomach takes a back way. It is going to the esophagus, and there it is because see, our stomach is having a special structure, that is the mucosa is present in the stomach, which is going to protect the lining of the stomach from HCl. Okay, but in gastroesophageal reflux disease, what happens is the acid is coming towards the esophagus where there is no some such protection, right? So there will be chances of ulcers, esophageal ulcers. Chances will be more when you get this disease. Okay. Next, salivary glands functions. So here, what are the functions of salivary glands? It is usually asked question. So what does this salivary glands do? Salivary glands will release saliva. Okay. So what is the uses of saliva? The first thing is it is going to have an enzyme called as lysozyme and also antibodies IgA. Okay. So they are going to show the bactericidal action and antibody immune response. Okay, it creates a feeling of oral comfort by its lubricating action. Okay, when there is saliva, because of its lubricating action, it gives us a sort of comfort. Otherwise, what we will feel very thirsty and our mouth will be always dry. Okay, there will be no lubrication. Just imagine how it will be. The third function is going to dissolve the food chemicals that so that they can stimulate the tongue's taste buds. Okay, so that how we will get the taste, because when the food components are dissolved in the saliva, then only we will get the taste. Okay, help to form a bolus by the action of mucin, thus facilitating swallowing. Because of this saliva, now the food particles, the food we eat will be mixed and there will be formation of some semi-solid bolus. Okay, ball of food. Okay, so that will be swallowed easily. Without saliva, imagine how it would be. Some dry particles entering into your throat. Okay, how it will be? You won't at all feel comfortable. But once you are it is mixed with saliva and there is a formation of semi-solid bolus, then you will feel comfortable, right? Next, basal metabolic rate. So what do you mean by basal metabolic rate? It is the amount of energy your body needs to maintain homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Balance between your internal and external environment. Okay, means to survive normally. To survive normally, how much amount of energy your body requires, that will be called as BMR. Okay, so what is this BMR? It is the energy released when you are completely at rest. Okay, when you are at rest, how much energy you are releasing. Okay, then that energy will be calculated as basal metabolic rate. Okay, the one who have high basal metabolic rate will be active. Okay, why? Because when they are having high BMR, even though they don't exercise, they look very active. They look very active because continuously the cells are taking up the glucose and burning it and giving in the form of ATP, that is energy. Okay, that is occurring here. Okay, whereas when there is low BMR, the glucose will be there and it won't be utilized for producing the energy. Okay, so now you might be knowing when you are having high BMR, some persons will eat so much. They will eat junk, they will eat all kachra, but still they are very, very slim. But few people are there when they maintain a good diet, even if once or twice they eat some junk, immediately they start gaining weight, right? That is because of the difference in their BMR. Okay, so a person who is having high BMR means that he is very active. High energy has been released from his body. Okay, so when you are considering when a person is at rest in a room temperature, humidity, normal humidity, and he is awake and he is sitting in a reclining position and 10 to 12 hours after the last meal, the energy which is given by him at this stage will be called as basal metabolic rate. Okay. And what are the different factors which are affecting this basal metabolic rate? First and foremost is genetics, right? When our parents have high BMR, usually we too also will have high BMR. Next is gender. Definitely women tend to have low BMR when compared to men. That is because of the excess of fat in women. Okay. Then age. As your age increases, your BMR will decrease. Weight. As your weight increases, also your BMR decreases. And as your BMR decreases, you will what do you say? Your weight will also increase. BMR decrease, weight increase. Body surface area. More body surface area, more BMR. Body fat percentage. Less fat, more BMR. More fat, less BMR. Okay? A person is fatty, then his BMR is less. A person is very thin, BMR is high. Inversely proportional. Diet. It depends on your diet. Then body temperature. When you are in high temperature, when high temperature is maintained in your body, then BMR increases. Because as the temperature increases, that chemical changes that takes place will increase. External temperature. In what kind of temperature you are living? If you are in cool temperatures, BMR will be low. And when you are in hot climate areas, then your BMR will be high. Okay. Then glands, exercise, pregnancy, all these factors also affect the BMR. Now, what is the significance, use of this BMR? So BMR is actually the main thing on when we focus on the BMR, what we get to know is about the thyroid disorders. Immediately, when a person is becoming very slim, okay, he will just look like skeleton. Okay, so in that case, immediately the doctor will say, go and have your thyroid test done first. Okay, because in that condition, usually the person will be suffering from hyperthyroidism. Okay, suddenly you are gaining weight, you are doing different things in the morning and you're doing all these things, but still your weight is increasing, then definitely doctor will suggest you to take up the thyroid profile, where usually the person will be hypothyroid. Okay, when there is hypothyroidism, then there will be what do you say, weight gain. And when there is hyperthyroidism, there will be weight loss. Okay. Now, if the BMR is less than 10% of normal, okay, BMR if it is less, BMR less means what? Weight gain. Weight gain means it is showing you as hypothyroidism. Okay. And when you have severe hypothyroidism, the BMR will reduce to 40 to 50% below normal. Okay. 40 to 50% below normal. Then, now this BMR is going to aids to know the total amount of food or calories required to maintain the body weight. So once you calculate the BMR, you will be able to know how many kilocalories of a diet food has to be taken by you so that you maintain a good health. Okay. Now BMR is low in starvation, undernutrition, hypothalamic disorders, Addison's disease, and lipoid necrosis. Now, the next important question in this unit is functions of liver. Okay, just to remember this diagram, if you remember this diagram and if you remember the side headings of these things, you can write it on your own. The first and very important function of liver is it is going helping in the production of cholesterol. Okay, so cholesterol is required for the sex hormones. It is a precursor for sex hormones. It is a precursor for vitamin D. Okay, storage of micronutrients. Minerals like copper, zinc, magnesium, iron, and vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, K, B12, they are all stored in the liver. Okay, next, blood sugar balance. It is going to store the glucose in the form of glycogen. Then production of bile salt. Bile. So different bile is released from the liver, right? So this bile is required for the digestion because it is released into the small intestine. Then it is also having antimicrobial action. It is helpful in the detoxification. Now, once you take any drug, the drug gets absorbed. Absorbed means it goes into the blood. From the blood, it goes to the liver, where it is getting converted into active form, or it is the active form is getting converted into inactive form. Okay. So, if there is any toxic product also, it is going to get modified in the liver, and that toxin can be removed from the body. That process is called as detoxification. And detoxification, just like drugs or alcohols, fatty acids, steroid hormones, ammonia, urea, environmental toxins, and different allergens. If these toxins are produced in the body, or if anyone has taken by the like if accidental or suicide anything, when he is taking this, so this liver is going to detoxify, detoxify. They're going to change the nature of the toxins. Okay. Next, metabolism. It is going to help in the metabolism of fat as well as it is going to help in the metabolism of T4, which is it is converting T4 to T3. It is also helping in immune system. It contains different viruses and pathogens and it maintains the hepatic and portal immune system. And finally, it is helpful in protein synthesis, just like different blood clotting factors are released from the liver. Okay. Next, formation of ATP. Now, what is this ATP? ATP is a form of energy. Okay. Nucleotide coenzyme adenosine triphosphate means ATP. It is the most important form of chemical energy. Now, once it is an important form of chemical energy, from this only we are going to get the energy. Okay, ATP is the most important form of chemical energy. So, this is the form of chemical energy which is going to provide energy to the cells. Okay. Now, coming to the formation of ATP, ATP is formed by three methods. Okay, you need not remember the reaction. The only thing is you have to know what is substrate level phosphorylation your oxidative phosphorylation and photophosphorylation. Okay, so ATP is formed by three methods: substrate level photophosphorylation, substrate level phosphorylation, oxidative phosphorylation, and photophosphorylation. Okay, so coming to substrate level phosphorylation, here what is happening is how actually the ATP is formed. It is formed by phosphorylation. Means what you are doing is this ATP will transfer one phosphate group. Adenosine triphosphate means what? This adenosine is having three phosphate groups. Okay, so now one phosphate is transferred to ADP. Okay, sorry. One phosphate is transferred to the substrate. Okay, it is transferred to the substrate. Now this ATP will become ADP. Okay, ATP will become ADP, and the substrate will be phosphorylated. Okay, phosphorylated. So here you can see here you are having phosphoenol pyruvate. Then you are adding adenosine triphosphate. This is ATP. Okay. So sorry, this is ATP. Now this adenosine, when it is combined with pyruvate, it gives its phosphate to phosphoenol pyruvate. It is giving this pyruvate its phosphate, and it is giving you ADP. Okay, hydrolysis. Now, oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation is what? It is going to remove the electrons from organic compounds. Okay, so here there will be no direct transfer of phosphate. No direct transfer of phosphate. It occurs by removing the electrons from organic compounds and pass them through the electron transport chain to the molecules of oxygen. This process usually occurs in the inner mitochondrial membrane of cells. Okay, inner mitochondrial membrane. Whereas this process, substrate level phosphorylation, occurs in the cytoplasm of a cell. Cytoplasm, usually the energy making form will be in the form of this substrate level phosphorylation, whereas in inner membrane mitochondrial membrane cells, the energy formation will be in the form of oxidative phosphorylation. Then you are also having photophosphorylation, where here the chlorophyll containing plant cells in bacteria, they observe the light and they go for phosphorylation. Okay, that is called as photophosphorylation. Now coming to the last section, that is the functions of ATP. What are the functions of ATP? Just remember this diagram and you have to elaborate it and write. Okay, if I say energy supply, it is the most common form of chemical. It is the most chemical form of energy, and it is going to help in the supply of energy to the different cells. Okay, it is going to help in the muscle contraction. By giving this ATP, muscles will be able to contract by utilizing this ATP. It is an active transport. It helps in cell signaling process. It helps in DNA or RNA synthesis, and it is also going to help you in the neurotransmission. Okay, so these are the functions of ATP. Now the next one is formation of bile salts, where this bile is produced in the liver. So how salts are produced? You know, the bile is produced from the liver and it is released into the small intestine, right? But from there, how you are getting these bile salts, it is very important. So usually you will be seeing two kinds of compounds, okay? Bile acids in the bile, okay? What are they? Cholic acid and chenodeoxycholic acid, okay? Cholic acid and chenodeoxycholic acid. Now this cholic acid and chenodeoxycholic acid, along with the bile, they enter into the small intestine. Now in the small intestine, because of the presence of enzymes and because of the environment in the small intestine, if the deoxycholic acid will be converted into deoxy deoxycholic acid conjugate with glycine. Okay. Okay. Now, after they are going into the intestine, what happens is they are going to undergo enterohepatic circulation. Now, what do you mean by enterohepatic circulation? Entero means GIT. Hepatic means liver. Okay. So, what did I say? The liver will release bile into the intestine. Now, from the intestine, all the food which we have taken, along with that food, the bile will again enter into the liver, because the blood from your GIT first goes towards the liver, and from the liver it goes to the heart. Okay, it directly doesn't goes to the heart. It first goes to the liver. So along with that food, this bile acid will get mixed up. Okay, so again when it reaches the liver, this deoxycholic acid will form a conjugate with glycine. Conjugate means what? It combines with glycine. Large molecule combination will be called as conjugate. Okay, so deoxycholic acid will conjugate with the glycine, and lithocholic acid, it is going to conjugate with a taurine. Okay, glycine, deoxycholic acid, and taurine, it is going to conjugate with the lithocholic acid. Okay, now when this deoxycholic acid conjugates with glycine, it is called as glycocholic acid. It is called as glycocholic acid. And when lithocholic acid is combining with taurine, then it is called as taurocholic acid. Okay, taurochloric acid. Now, when this glycocholic acid, when it is combining with the sodium or potassium, you will get sodium glycolate or potassium glycolate. And if it is combining with taurine, okay, uh, torcholic acid. Torcholic acid, when it is combining with the sodium or potassium, it is called as sodium torcholate, and if it is combining with the potassium, it is called as potassium torocholate. Okay. So next, this is a brief overview of this unit 2, and then you are having unit 3, where you are having two systems, respiratory system and urinary system. Okay. Just to go through the syllabus once. Just give me 2 seconds. Yes. So we are having respiratory system and urinary system. Okay. So in this respiration, what you have to study is mechanism of respiration. If you are going to study long answer, means mechanism of respiration and the regulation of respiration. Sometimes we will combine both mechanism and regulation. Okay. And 2 marks means disorders. Okay. What is asthma, COPD, like that. Then he is going to concentrate more on, so this transport of respiratory gases is also important for your long answers. Okay, transport of respiratory gases. For 2 marks, he will be asking either the disorder, or he will be asking the definitions of lung volumes and artificial respiration. Okay, the resuscitation methods, artificial respiration, lung volumes and capacities. Okay, coming to the urinary system. See, urinary system, if you study formation of urine, you will be covering half of the syllabus of urinary system. Okay, formation of urine. Next, Micturition reflex, it will be present in the formation of urine only. Later in the last part will be micturition reflex. And there will be a role of RAS in kidney. Okay, renin angiotensin aldosterone system. It should be RAAS. Sorry by mistake. And disorders of kidney. Disorders, as I told you, for every system you should have at least 4 to 5 names of disorders. Okay, next. So the most commonly asked question in this urinary system is micturition, in the third unit. Okay. So urinary system first is micturition. So how this micturition takes place, that is there. So what happens when the urine is going into the pelvis through the ureters, then it enters the urinary bladder and it is stored. Okay. Whenever the urinary bladder is getting filled. Okay. So what happens? Now, there will be a certain threshold level. Now, once the urine volume exceeds 150 to 200 ml, okay, 150 to 200 ml, the information will be passed to your spinal cord, through your spinal nerve, okay. So that spinal cord will be giving information. It will be sending signal to your urinary bladder so that the detrusor muscles will contract and the trigonal muscles will relax. If you remember, there will be two types of muscles in the urinary bladder, detrusor muscles and trigonal muscles. Okay. So here what will happen? The detrusor muscles will contract, trigonal muscles will relax, and there will be passage of urine. Once the urinary bladder is emptied, the detrusor muscles will relax and the trigonal muscles will contract. Okay, so that happens in the micturition reflex. Now, what is artificial respiration? Artificial respiration might be you have seen in many movies, right? Where female lead will be falling in the water and some person will be giving artificial respiration. One second, I'm charging my laptop. Yeah, sorry for the break. Yeah. Yeah. So, so that is the artificial respiration where you are going to supply air to a person, which is very essential for him for breathing. Okay. So how you can do it? By blowing air into a person's mouth. Okay. You have to provide more air to the person so that he will be able to breathe. Okay. And when performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation means you are near your chest region between the heart and the lungs, you are going to press. Okay. So what you are going to do is you are actually following ABC method. ABC method means first clearing the airways, then giving your artificial breathing, and cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Okay, and there are some ways to give you like hand operated or mechanical ways. This needs breathe if a person is not breathing on his own or is not breathing adequately. So if a person is not able to breathe, what they will do in hospitals, they will put them on the ventilator. That is called as mechanical type of artificial respiration. Okay, got my point? So natural methods means by giving cardiopulmonary resuscitation and by blowing person's mouth, and mechanical ways means by giving this ventilator. So providing or supplying air to a person who uh, sup, uh, air to a person which is essential for his breathing. Okay, we are providing, we are supplying air to a person, uh, some extra air you are providing to a person. Okay, artificial air you are providing to a person. Now, disorders of kidney disorders. So, what kind of disorders? Kidney urine formation, that is for long answer. Okay, again I told you, you have to remember the disorders. So, what kind of disorders you can see in the kidney? First thing is in pathophysiology, already you are having acute renal failure, chronic renal failure. Those two definitely you will remember, right? Now, what other things you are there is you can select three from here, two from there. That is enough. Okay. So you are having acute kidney injury. Okay, because due to of some toxins or due to certain disorders, there will be damage in the renal cell. Okay, when there is a damage in the renal cell, there will be loss of function in the kidney. That is called as acute kidney injury. Then you are having glomerulonephritis. What did I say? Itis means inflammation. So inflammation of the glomeruli will be called as glomerulonephritis. Okay. Renal caliculi. Caliculi means stone formation in the kidneys. Okay, you know, usually you call it as kidney stones, or you can call it as urolithiasis. Lithiasis means formation of stone. Okay. So what happens is when there is excess of minerals in your blood, those minerals are going to get deposited in the kidneys, and there will be formation of stone. The mineral will deposit on like from small particle to become, when there is a more deposition, it will become a stone, and that will hinder the movement of urine. Okay. Next, you have chronic kidney disease, where it is a slow, progressive, and irreversible loss of kidney function. Nephrotic syndrome. Nephrotic syndrome means here what happens is the kidneys will excrete more amount of proteins. Therefore, it leads to hypoproteinemia. Okay, hypoproteinemia means emia. Whenever you get a term which is ending with emia, it means it is in blood. Okay, and hypo means less protein in blood. Hypoproteinemia. So as the kidneys are excreting high amount of proteins outside through the urine, what is happening? There will be shortage or deficiency of proteins in the blood. That is called as hypoproteinemia. And the most common disorder is urinary tract infection. Even when there is some change, when there is even if hygiene is not maintained, then also you are going to prone to get UTI, urinary tract infection. It is the infection or inflammation of any part of the urinary system. Okay. Now, respiratory system. Now, if you remember this diagram and all the labels, you can write any definition when he is asked. Okay, so we will begin with the left side. IRV. IRV means inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume means after normal breathing. Okay, normal breathing means how you are taking no sound. Okay, normal breathing. Okay, forceful breathing. Did you get the sound? Yes, that is deep breathing. Okay, after normal breathing, how much amount of air you can intake during inspiration? Okay, how much amount, extra amount of air you can take inside during deep inhalation, deep inhalation. Okay, that is called as IRV. Okay, you can see here this green one, green colored one, it is IRV. Okay, next is tidal volume. This light blue color is tidal volume. Tidal volume means during normal respiration, how much amount of air is coming inside and going outside. That is called as tidal volume. ERV, expiratory reserve volume means, I told you during deep breathing, right? So when you are expelling it, when there is forceful expiration, how much amount of air is going outside? That is called as expiratory reserve volume. Okay, and the last one is RV, means residual volume. So even though you are forcing your lungs to give all the air, even though little amount of volume of air will be there in your lungs, that is called as residual volume. Okay, understood my point? IRV means when you are taking deep inhalation, how much extra amount of air is going inside. Tidal volume means during normal breathing, how much amount of air is going in and out. Expiratory reserve volume means during forced expiration, how much amount, extra amount of air is going outside other than tidal volume. Okay. And residual volume means after deep exhalation, after forceful exhalation also, the amount of air, the volume of air which is remaining in the lungs, it is called as residual volume. Now coming to the right side, inspiratory capacity. Inspiratory capacity means it is a sum of IRV. Now you can see here what colors are mixed here. Okay, green and light blue. So you can say it as it is the sum of inspiratory reserve volume and tidal volume. Okay, inspiratory reserve volume and tidal volume. So here during inspiration, both normal and deep inspiration, how much amount of air is entering. IRV means other than tidal volume. You are not counting the tidal volume in IRV. But in IC, you are counting the tidal volume also. Okay, usually the tidal volume will be 500 ml. So whatever the IRV you are getting, if you add plus 500 ml, you will get IC, inspiratory capacity. Then is your FRC. FRC means functional residual capacity. Functional residual capacity means it is the sum of residual volume plus expiratory reserve volume. It is the sum of expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. Means during expiration, how much amount of air is present in the lungs? Means the one which is expelled, also the one which is remaining in the lungs. And the last, and this vital capacity. Vital capacity means if we remove residual volume, the other things when you combine, then it is called as vital capacity. Okay, when you take inside, when you deeply inhale and forcefully exhale, the amount of air which is going inside and the amount of air which is going outside is called as vital capacity. You are not counting residual volume in vital capacity. Okay. And the last one is total lung capacity. Means how much amount or how much volume of air a lung can hold. Complete total amount when you deeply inhale, forcefully exhale. What is the complete capacity of the lungs? That is called as total lung capacity. Usually, in a normal adult, it will be around 6 liters. Now, if you count here, inspiratory reserve volume, usually in a healthy adult, it will be 2.5 liters. Tidal volume will be 0.5, that is 500 ml. Expiratory reserve volume will be 1.5 liters and residual volume will be 1.5 liters. So combining these two, you will get 6 liters. So normally a healthy adult will have the total lung capacity of 6 liters. Am I clear? Are you getting me or not? Yes. Then you have one question, which is role of ADH in urine formation. So if you know urine formation, you need not study separately about the ADH. But as he's asking like this, I just want to tell you what to write in it. So what is ADH? ADH is an antidiuretic hormone, which is also called as vasopressin. Okay, so this hormone is released from posterior pituitary gland. Okay, what happens is when there is excess of water absorption. One second. So this ADH. So when there is dilute urine, okay, when there is dilute urine and frequent urination is taking place, okay, so immediately your hypothalamus will give signal to the posterior pituitary gland to release ADH. Why? Because most of the water is lost through urine. So now posterior pituitary gland will release ADH and ADH is going to increase more water reabsorption. It is going to increase the reabsorption of water and thereby it is going to produce concentrated urine. Okay. In the same way, when there is concentrated urine produced, your hypothalamus will give signal to your posterior pituitary gland to slow down the level of ADH. Then automatically there will be less ADH, there will be less water absorption, and there will be increase in the amount of water in the urine leading to diluted urine. Okay, that is the main function or role of ADH in urine formation. Now coming to the assessment of kidney function, this actually you are going to study in the biochemistry, but still sometimes he is asking these things also. So just if you know the things what they are doing in this, then it's more than enough. Okay. So there are different kinds of techniques available in assessing the kidney function. You are going to have urine analysis. Okay. Then you are going to have imaging procedures like kidney biopsy. Okay. Then in quantitative indices, the above one are qualitative, and in quantitative methods you are having glomerular filtration rate and creatinine clearance rate, and quantify the changes in functions and all these things. Now, usually when you see, they are divided into the following. The first one is urine analysis. So immediately when you get this urinary tract infection, most commonly it is seen in the students as whenever there is a heavy crowd, okay, or the washroom is used by many people, definitely, or there are more chances of getting this urinary tract infection. So immediately when you go to doctor, first they will take the sample of urine, okay, and they will analyze it. That is called as urine analysis. It is called as CUE, complete urine examination. Okay. So first what they will do is macroscopic analysis. Macroscopic means by seeing up, when you see the CUE, first you will get this color and viscosity and volume, like that. Means immediately when you see what changes you are seeing in the urine. Okay, that comes under macroscopic analysis. Then comes chemical analysis. Chemical analysis means what was the protein in eosinophils, WBC, in blood, hemoglobin, whether these things were there in the urine. Chemical analysis. And the last one will be your microscopic examination, means whether there were presence of any microorganisms. If microorganisms were present, which microorganisms may be present. Now, if which microorganism is present, immediately in below in the same report you will get what you say, uh, how these microorganisms to which antimicrobial agent it is going to respond. That also will be given in the report itself. Okay. So next is blood examination. So one is urine analysis, another one is blood examination. So they'll you examine the urine, then they will examine serum urea, serum creatinine, blood urea nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, protein, albumin, creatinine clearance, urea clearance, inulin clearance, dilution and concentration test, serum electrolyte levels. All these tests will be done in this intervention. Then there will be glomerular function test also. So usually the glomerular filtration rate, I hope you know the glomerular filtration rate, which is the first step in urine formation, followed by tubular reabsorption and then tubular secretion, right? So glomerular filtration, it is just a filtration of the urine. Okay, whatever the filtrate is there, that filtrate is going to pass through the proximal convoluted tubule, Henle, loop of Henle, and distal convoluted tubule, and then collecting ducts, right? So normally the GFR will be 125 ml per minute. Okay, but if the GFR decreases to 30% of normal, then it can show some changes in the changes in the function of the kidneys. Okay, but the patient will not show any symptoms, and only if a biochemical test is done. Biochemical test means this one, serum urea, serum creatinine, urine examination, all when this is done, then only you can diagnose that there is some problem in the kidney. Okay. Now, if it further decreases, there will be severe renal insufficiency, and it will be followed by the symptoms like uremia, blood, blood in the urine, and biochemical abnormalities such as acidemia. Acidemia means the blood will become acidic in nature, volume overload, neurologic, cardiac, and respiratory manifestations will also be seen. Okay. Now, when the GFR is 5 to 10% of normal, means it has still decreased, then it will give you a diagnosis of end stage renal disease or end stage kidney disease, which is irreversible. Okay, and it can take your life too, or it may need surgical intervention like transplantation and all. Okay. Next is creatinine clearance test. Creatinine clearance test is the test why we are selecting creatinine, because creatinine is the agent which is not going to get reabsorbed, which is not going to get secreted. It is only filtered. With this creatinine clearance test, we can know the GFR, glomerular filtration rate. Next, you also have different functions which are called as tubular function tests, where urine concentration test, vasopressin test, urine dilution test, para-aminohippuric acid test, and micropuncturing are involved. Okay, just remember the names. Next, you are having pulmonary ventilation. Pulmonary ventilation is nothing but what happens is whatever the normal breathing process is there, that is called as pulmonary ventilation. Okay, no need not get confused. Only whatever normal breathing is there, that normal breathing is called as pulmonary ventilation. So in this, you have to explain what is inspiration and what is expiration. Usually breathing will be having two steps, right? Inspiration, expiration. Inspiration will actually last for 2 seconds and expiration will last for 3 seconds. Then it will be followed by a pause and then there will be again next cycle of breathing. That is inspiration again. Okay. So in this, what are the different muscles involved? First thing is intercostal muscles. Okay. And rib cage. Sorry, diaphragm. Diaphragm, intercostal muscles, and ribs. These three things are involved in pulmonary ventilation. Okay, so expiration. Okay, first we will discuss about inspiration. Inspiration means what is happening here. What happens here is uh, the intercostal muscles, they will relax. The ribs will expand. Diaphragm will contract and it will take more air inside. Okay, and the ribs will be like this. So when you inhale deeply, you will see the changes here in the chest region and here in the stomach. Okay, just inhale once. What is happening? Your your stomach is bulging like a balloon. Okay, so it is a balloon like. You are taking inside the air, so it will bulge. Okay, now what you are doing? You are expelling the air. So what happens here? There will be relaxation of diaphragm and intercostal muscles will be contracted. Okay, when they contract, ribs will come closer. When they come closer, the air will be expelled out. Just like imagine a balloon. Now you have opened the mouth and you are doing like this to the balloon. So immediately the air will be going outside. Again filling, again leaving. Okay, so that is the simple process of your pulmonary ventilation. Then definition of asthma and symptoms. What is asthma? This is the most common disorder of respiratory system. Okay, it is defined as chronic inflammation. Means it is a progressive disease. Okay, chronic inflammation disease of airway, which is characterized by increased responsiveness of tracheobronchial tree to a multiplicity of stimuli. Means due to the presence of some allergens, due to the exposure to some toxins or anything which a person is allergic. Okay, so such type of reaction, such type when a person is exposed to such a stimulus, then the airway responsiveness will become high. Hyper responsiveness will be there. Okay, you might have seen in the movies, in the television, where when something happens immediately, the person will take, he will do like this, right? So what is happening? Wheezing, cough, shortness of breath will be seen, chest tightness will be seen. Dyspnea means he will not be able to breathe properly. Okay, pale and wet skin, difficulty in breathing will be seen. These are the symptoms of asthma. Now the next unit is your unit 4, that is your endocrine system. So in this endocrine system, you are having classification of hormones, mechanism of hormone action, structure and functions of pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal, pancreas, pineal gland, all the glands, right? So here usually disorders means hyper, hypo will be there. Okay. For all the glands, you just study about the functions of the glands. Okay. Coming to the hormones of pancreas, you have insulin, glucagon, VIP, somatostatin. What is their function? It's a very common question. Insulin, it is going to enhance the glucose uptake and metabolism in the cells. Glucagon is going to show the opposite action, which is going to convert the stored glycogen into glucose, where glucagon is going to increase the glucose levels. Insulin is going to decrease. Insulin is decreasing, glucagon is increasing the glucose levels. Vasoactive intestinal peptide is going to stimulate the secretion of water, electrolytes, and it is going to increase the motility in the intestines. And finally, you have somatostatin, which is going to regulate the secretion of insulin and glucagon secretion. Then, in addition, you can even write, if it is for 2 marks, it is enough. If it is asking the same question for 5 marks, then you can write how many types of cells are there in the pancreas and which cells are producing which type of hormones. Okay. Now, coming to the functions of thyroid gland, as I said you, functions of all the glands are very important. Thyroid, it is going to show the effect in almost all the organs of your body, all the organs. Okay. So coming from the left, it is going to influence your BMR. Okay. So it is going to slow or fast calories. If it is hyper, no, the patient will be very thin. Means the BMR will be very high for that patient. Okay. If it is hypothyroidism, the BMR will be less. Okay. And the patient will become very stout. Okay. So it will even either slow or fast the calories, and it is going to affect the follicle and embryonic development, raising or lowering the body temperature. Then it is going to help in the movement of the food in the digestive system. It is going to help in the fetal brain development. It is going to help in the maintenance of your heartbeat. It is going to help in cell rejuvenating techniques. Then it is going to help in the muscle contraction. It is also going to help in the sperm and testosterone production. Coming to the adrenal glands, what are the different types of hormones released and what is their function? So usually adrenal gland is having three types of areas or cells. Zona glomerulosa, which are going to release mineralocorticoids. Example is aldosterone. Then you have second type of cells called as zona fasciculata, which are going to release glucocorticoids. And the examples are cortisol, corticosterone, and cortisone. Then you have third type of cells, zona reticularis, which are going to have androgens, which are going to release androgens. And androgens examples are dehydroepiandrosterone. Now, these three areas, these three cells, they belong to cortex region, while the last one is your medulla region, which is going to release stress hormone, that is your epinephrine and norepinephrine. Now, coming to the different functions of these hormones, aldosterone is going to help in the what do you say in the urine formation, where the aldosterone is going to act on the collecting ducts, and it is going to increase the reabsorption of water, where we have seen this in renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, right? Cortisol. Cortisol, they are involved in fight or flight response and they react to body stress. Okay. Androgens, they are male sex hormones. And adrenaline or adrenaline, they are going to help in influencing the heart rate, blood pressure. You know this parasympathetic nervous system, it is run by adrenaline and noradrenaline. Thyroid gland disorders, different types of disorders we can see in thyroid, where you have hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, I have already told you. Then you have Graves' disease, where you can see the dryness in the eyes. Then goiter, goiter means increase in the size of your uh, thyroid gland. And Hashimoto's disease, it is thyroiditis, it is inflammation in the thyroid. Okay. Next, mechanism of hormone action. Usually you will be having two types of hormones, non-steroid hormone and steroid hormones. Okay. Non-steroid hormones, as non-steroid hormones, by the name itself, we can say that they are lipophobic, or we can say them as hydrophilic hormones. Steroid hormones, as the name indicates, they are lipid or lipophilic hormones. Okay. So basically, if a hormone is lipophilic, it can cross the plasma membrane. These are all the basics. Hope you know that. Okay. If a hormone is hydrophilic, then it cannot cross the plasma membrane. So therefore, these non-steroid hormones will act on the cell surface receptors, whereas the steroid hormones will cross the plasma membrane, goes into the cytoplasm, and then they act on the receptors. You can see here. So if it is a non-steroid hormone, it is going to act on the receptor, then there will be response, there will be production of different secondary messengers, then there will be response. Whereas if you see the steroid hormone, as it is lipophilic in nature, it can cross, this is called as actually nuclear receptors. And these they will be called as G protein coupled receptors. Okay. So the hormone will bind to the receptor and the complex will enter into the nucleus, and there they bind to the DNA, affecting the DNA translation of proteins. They affect the translation of proteins, and there will be change in the function of the cell. Then finally you have pineal gland. Pineal gland importance is it is going to help in balancing, or it is going to maintain your sleep wake cycle. Okay, it is going to release a hormone called as melatonin, and it is going to control the endocrine function of all the glands. Then it is going to convert the nervous signal to the endocrine signal. It is going to cause the feeling of sleepiness, and it also influences the sexual development. And you have circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms means what? They are physical, mental, and behavioral changes that follow a 24-hour cycle. Okay. So if you are having a habit of getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, then definitely if you continue this for 10-15 days, then on 16th day also you will get up at 8 o'clock automatically. If you are having a habit of getting up at 4 o'clock, then you will get up at 4 o'clock. If you um, feel hungry in HAP class, then in every HAP class you will feel hungry, right? If you feel sleepy also, you will feel sleepy. So, okay. So it is like how your body is adjusted to a 24-hour cycle. What is happening? At what time you are eating? That cycle will be set in your body. So that cycle is called as circadian rhythms. Okay. So the study or the science which deals with the study of circadian rhythms, it is called as chronobiology. So this is the common circadian rhythm in humans. What happens here is you can start from 12 noon, okay? Then in 2:30, best coordination means you will be active, and 3:30 also you will be active, and at 5 o'clock there will be uh, cardiovascular efficiency will be more, and muscle strength will be more. Therefore, you can do exercise in this area. At 6:30 there will be highest blood pressure, and at 7 o'clock there will be highest body temperature. 21 is 21 at 9 o'clock you will be melatonin secretion will start, and 22:30 means 10:30 bowel movements will be suppressed. Then midnight, then at 2 o'clock you will be in the deep sleep. At 4:30 the body temperature will go down, lowest body temperature, and at 6:45 morning there will be high rise in blood pressure. Immediately there will be, usually when you see the cases where the persons are dying because of hypertension and all, most of the cases will be in the early morning only, because in this time circle, usually in a human being, there will be sharpest rise in the blood pressure. Okay, in 7:30 morning, 7:30 melatonin secretion will stop, and bowel movement likely start. It will start at 8:30. At 9 o'clock there will be highest testosterone secretion, and at 10 o'clock high alertness will be there, and this rhythm will be following. Okay, if you follow a normal healthy lifestyle, then this circadian rhythm is same. This is not applicable for everyone. Those who watch mobile TV in the night, then definitely their rhythm will be disturbed, and due to the disturbance in the rhythm, they will be facing very different disorders in your body. Then the last unit you have is reproductive system. In reproductive system, male reproductive system, female reproductive system. And anatomy you have to study, and then you have to study spermatogenesis, oogenesis. Okay, then menstruation. Okay, these 5 important questions from reproductive system. And in genetics, what is DNA? What protein synthesis is important. and importance of chromosomes. That's it. Okay. Coming to the male and female sex hormones, you will be having testosterone as a male hormone and estrogen and progesterone as the female hormones. Even though estrogen, progesterone are also released, estrogen is also released in the males also. Now, coming to the functions of DNA, what is the function of DNA? It is a genetic material. It is going to carry the hereditary information, and then it is going to have a property of replication, essential for passing genetic information. Okay, and it is going to help in the recombination. Then it is going to change the sequence and number of nucleotides. Then, whenever there is a change in the sequence and in the number of nucleotides in the DNA, it will lead to mutation, and mutation will be responsible for variations in the DNA. Then it is going to control the all metabolic reactions through RNA and RNA directed synthesis of proteins. Now coming to the chromosomes, what are chromosomes? They are thread-like structures which are located inside the nucleus of an animal and plant cell. So each chromosome is made up of a protein and a single molecule of DNA. Okay, protein and single molecule of DNA. Usually in the human beings, there are 22 pairs of chromosomes and one pair of sex chromosomes. Okay, and 22 pairs of autosomes we call it as, and one pair of sex chromosomes. Okay, these one pair of sex chromosomes are XX and XY. Okay, so total 46 will be there. So each pair contains two chromosomes, one coming from each parent. Okay, which means that children inherited half of their chromosomes from their mother and half of the chromosomes from their father. So in one question paper, it is asked like from which chromosome a child's sex will be determined. Means it will be determined. It will be determined by the chromosome of father. Okay, chromosomes. So in female, why? Because the chromosomes, the whatever the XX chromosomes are there, in female you will be having XX only. So whatever might be the chromosome, the child will receive, the fetus will receive X only. Whereas in male there will be XY chromosome. So the if a child receives Y chromosome, then he will be male. If a child receives X chromosome, then the fetus will be female. Okay. So the sex of a fetus or the child is determined by the chromosomes of the father but not of mother. But you know what? The intelligence of the child will be from mothers, it seems. 81% of intelligence is from mothers, it seems. It is a recent research which was given in the paper. Okay. So all the girls have to study well. Okay. The unique structure of chromosomes keeps DNA tightly wound around a spool-like proteins. So usually the chromosomes are very tightly packed proteins. Why? Because if the DNA molecules, if we leave it, then it will go to 6 feet. So that 6 feet DNA is packed in a single chromosome. Okay. So you can one paper it is given as what is the importance of sperm. So there are two important functions of sperm. Just for your idea, I have drawn I've kept a picture of a sperm also. Sometimes you may ask this also, right? Draw the structure of a sperm. Okay, so it has a head, it has a middle piece, and this one is the tail. Okay, so in the middle piece you will find mitochondria, and in the head portion you will find the apex layer is called as acrosome, and inside you will find the nucleus, and one centriole is seen up in the head. Okay, so you can see here how the zygote is formed. Okay. Then functions is sexual reproduction and determination of the sex of the embryo of future baby. Okay. That is the importance of a sperm. That's it. So these are the questions which I feel it is important and also I have collected from the last year question papers. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. If you didn't understand anything also, you can ask. Anything to say? Yeah, dear, any questions? So all of you, please subscribe to the Prakara Learning app and gain more and more knowledge. They are providing a lot of material to you. You join the program, MLT program, which is very affordable, and you will get a lot of help and a lot of knowledge from the quiz which is conducted by them, and the webinars which they are conducting. They are taking a lot of effort to educate you. So kindly grab this opportunity and subscribe to the channel and keep supporting us. Okay. If you have any messages or any suggestions or any doubts or anything you want to say regarding subject, you can say. Please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Amir.
Ma'am, एक second, please. Ma'am, हाँ, ma'am, yeah. Ma'am, I've ended the webinar.